My name is Wong-Tam. I'm the Member of Provincial Parliament for Toronto Centre. I use pronouns they, them. Today we're gathered right here in front of 77 Howard Street. And we're here because on July 16th, there was a historic rainfall. We received so much rain across the city of Toronto. Most residents have gotten back to their normal daily activity and life, but not for the residents of 77 Howard. That rainfall caused an electrical fire and flooding. What we've now seen is that since then, they have not had stable power to their units or their building. 77 Howard is directly behind me. It is the home to hundreds of tenants, and they have been without stable hydro and electricity for over 2 weeks. What this means is that they had not had reliable access to hot water or food, elevator access, and other essentials. Many of these units experience catastrophic electrical failure and water damage. Residents have also told me that the building has had a long history of poor maintenance. Maintenance requests and service requests oftentimes have gone unanswered, and when the landlord does come to repair things, it is oftentimes months out. I want to remind everyone that the tenants here did absolutely nothing wrong. They did not cause the flood, nor the rainstorm, or the electrical fire, but they are living with the consequences of it all. I have now canvassed this building 3 times. I've met hundreds of people and have had hundreds of conversations. And throughout that time, it's exactly the same. The hardship, the lack of response from the landlord with respect to accountability and due dates of when the power is to be turned on. Over the past few weeks, after speaking to these tenants, I have accumulated so many stories. But these tenants also have a list of concerns and demands that needed to be directed to the landlord. And that's why we're here today. Because on July 26th, 10 days after the storm, after hearing from hundreds of tenants, I took their complaints and their concerns, and I brought this forward to the landlord in a letter. And on their behalf, I wrote to the landlord, Wellesley Parliament Square, asking for the following: rent abatement, asking for rent reductions because they cannot use their physical units the way that it is intended according to their lease. They have suffered emotional anguish. Many of the residents are frustrated and stressed out because they cannot walk up and down these stairs because of the lack of elevator access. They're asking for the reimbursement of all expenses caused by the flooding. Nobody is living with a rich bank account. Many residents, many Torontonians and Ontarians are living check to check. They cannot handle any unexpected expenses. They've had to eat out when there was no ability to cook their food. They couldn't pay for their insurance deductible because sometimes it was $1,000 and more. They've had to go to hotels and live in other accommodations because their units were unsafe. And after 2 weeks now, it's becoming moldy. They're asking for a freeze on rents in 2025. It's just the right thing to do. People are on fixed income. They cannot handle an unnecessary and unplanned expense and then be subjected to higher rents in 2025. We need the landlord to honor all existing leases. If they move out because it was not their fault, their existing lease must be honored. The landlord cannot try to squeeze them out. So if they had to move to a family member's home or a hotel, that does not cancel their lease. The landlord must prioritize the repairs and renovations of the damaged units. The tenants who have been displaced cannot be out for months on end. And there has been suggestions that the power in this building could be out for weeks to months on end. Access to laundry facilities. For over 2 weeks, they haven't been able to do laundry in the building. The landlord owns a number of buildings all around St. Jamestown. They all type of payments plan and structure. The tenants should be able to walk to a neighbor's building and just use the laundry facility as opposed to carting it much further and elsewhere for more costs. These are just the simple demands that I have summarized, and we expect the landlord to respond. But we've heard that the landlord has said everybody is happy, that they've also done a very good job because they've sent a memo every day. The tenants here today are going to tell you a message, and that is that they're not happy, they're not satisfied, and they're looking for fair deal. They're looking for respect. I'd like to invite Joyce Cole, our first speaker today.
Hello everyone, my name is Joyce and I'm from this apartment 77. I've been living in a hotel for the past 2 weeks. It has not been easy. I've been crying because my management don't want to speak to me. Every time I try, Eric, which is E-R-I, would always tell me, don't speak to me soon. I haven't heard anything from him. He said he'll give me a 48-hour notice so he can speak to me. But I haven't seen it. I haven't heard from him. He said he'll find me. So far, I've spent $8,000 into the hotel. The place is moldy and it's just climbing more and more. Every day, I get up and it's just like a headache. I just want to just sleep away. But that's how I feel. And everybody I speak to, they're saying the same thing. I lost everything I ever worked for. My fridge, my freezer, everything is done. I can't eat those foods. My apartment is a wreck, and they've been stealing on top of it. They're going and they take my shoes, they take my perfume, and they take my rug. And I want it back. I don't care how they do it, but I know I want it back. And I'm going to have to meet with them and face them somehow. So I just wish that they could just understand how everyone in the building feels. We're angry, but we're not that angry that we can't speak together. So I hope and pray when they see this, they will know how I feel. And I wish to God it happened to them, because then they would know how every one of us feels. And they have kids. Whatever you do, it's going to fall on them. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashley Aldridge. My name is Ashley Aldridge. I just like to take a minute to thank Kristen for joining us today. I can speak for myself, and I'm sure everyone else here and in the building, that we are absolutely not happy with the situation. We have been put through undue hardship for weeks on end. The building hasn't repaired things for years. We've been receiving notices saying we're working on the roof, we're providing a generator. None of those things were done, and we were out of electricity for that time as well. Personally, we are out of pocket over $2,000 after having to stay in hotels for 5 days. Our fridge and freezer, completely, everything is gone. My dogs have been suffering. People have disabilities in this building, they can't get around. I am beside myself. And management is saying that we have not complained. I personally have sent 3 emails to them explaining exactly what I'm telling you now. They've said that they have not received anything from the tenants. That is a falsehood. Going forward, I would like to see everything that Kristen has outlined in her letter to management given to us, and I am not going to take this lying down. Thank you so much.
Hi there, my name is Edward Charles. I'm a tenant of 77 Howard. First things first, I'm not happy. Free pizza doesn't make me whole. Free coffee doesn't make me whole. What I need is a letter from my tenant insurance so that way I can get my claim accounted for. We have nothing. Literally, our tenant insurance companies have emailed and called on our behalves, and nothing is provided. I know that there's supposed to be something done, but it doesn't take 2 weeks because, in my estimation, once you start repairs, you have an understanding as to what the underlying issue is. So if you know that there was a flood, if you know that there was a fire, it's not that hard to send us a letter and help us get some kind of compensation. I'm in favor of rent abatement. I'm in favor of a rent freeze. I thank Kristen for supporting us in this endeavor, because for those who live in the front of the building, guess what? Our power is diesel generated. So when we open our windows to cool off, when we go on our balconies, our units, they smell like diesel. So I'm appreciative of all the work that's been done to get us electrified, but at the same time, it's not in anybody's best interest to be carting their laundry all the way down the end of Parliament in Wellesley just so they can do their laundry. Again, the project management, they own numerous buildings throughout the complex. They can make those adjustments. They can accommodate us accordingly, but they choose not to. And if they think we're happy, they're in for a rude awakening. Thank you.
I know that there are a number of tenants here who would also like to share their story with the media. There are tenants here who are willing to open up their home so you can actually see the level of damage in their apartment, including Joyce Cole, who is in unit 804. She's there right now with her insurance adjuster. So we will give you access to the tenants. They're ready to speak, and we're also able to, of course, take some questions at this moment.
I guess my question for you is, have you received anything back from
So my letter was submitted to the landlord on July 26th, and I gave him 2 weeks to respond. I understand that the questions that I posed to him are not that straightforward, and I expected a response in 2 weeks. Instead, I hear through the media from the landlord spokesperson that they're congratulating themselves on a job well done. Then I hear from sources is that they're telling them that this is all because of me. So Kristen Wong-Tam is the only person that wants these demands. Hundreds of conversations I've had with the tenants. Hundreds of conversations that brought me to the list of demands in the letter that I submitted on behalf of the tenants. And so today's press conference is to debunk everything that the landlord has told the media. That the tenants are happy, that they have been well taken care of, and I'm not displacing any efforts from the landlord to get the building back up and running. But what they've said is categorically false, that the tenants are all happy and that they've done everything they can to support the tenants, because clearly they haven't. So I've not heard from the landlord directly, but they have sent us a very clear message, is that they're not going to take our letter seriously. So that's why we're here today, is to force them to look into the faces of the tenants that they refuse to meet. They have never met their landlord. Has anyone here ever met the owner of this building? Never. Some of these folks have lived here for 30 years. So we need to be able to put faces and names to the tenants, and just as much as the landlord must understand that these are also people that are within their responsibility.
And in this case, is the landlord breaking any law, or is there avoiding legislation that's allowed them to happen?
The landlord has insurance for the building that will cover a suite of conditions that will have to trigger the insurance claims. What we've heard from the tenants is that they can't even access their own insurance because nobody has provided a reason that they needed to go to the hotels. So everybody here is stuck. They are stuck because the lack of communication from the landlord to what has transpired to the building, and it's now weeks out. So the landlord has responsibility. From 650 Parliament, a fire not too far away here that displaced the residents for over almost 2 years is owned by the same landlord. They were very negligent in the maintenance of that building, comparable age to this one. Electrical fire, similar to what happened here, minus the rainstorm. That landlord, same landlord, had to be spoken to very firmly by then Mayor John Tory and myself because we had to take care of the tenants who were displaced there. They owed the City of Toronto over $3 million because they didn't do their job of making sure those tenants were taken care of. The city had to initiate legal actions to get the money back. So the landlord clearly has a responsibility here, a responsibility that they should take very seriously, sit down, meet with us, provide a response in writing, and I expect them to actually do so sooner rather than later.
Have you heard from the mayor at all? Is she been
The
involved?
mayor is aware of this press conference. I spoke to her last night. She used to live in St. Jamestown as a child, as many as you know. She is fully supportive of what we are asking for. She understands that the tenants are out, and she is entirely sympathetic with what the tenants have gone through.
Do you know who the landlord is by name? Because we don't even know. Who is the landlord?
In my dealings with 650 Parliament, the names of the landlord were known to me, but it is a very complicated real estate holding company. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Nice to give a name.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the name.
Yeah.